Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio took center stage today and revealed some concerns about one of the Birds' big free agent additions. Plus, a couple of young players got an early opportunity to stand out on both offense and defense, and Jalen Hurts, he was dialed in yet again on training camp day 2, and his weapons continue to sing the praise of Kellen Moore's new offense. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. First out onto the field for day 2 of Eagles training camp, that'd be running back Kenny Gainwell, seen here working with the Jugs machine before anybody else got out to practice. Maybe he's feeling the pressure from Will Shipley, or maybe I'm just speculating. Who knows? Good to see Kenny G out there getting those first practice reps. Next, we get some fresh roster updates to start our day with the very quick return of Landon Dickerson following his toe laceration sit-out from yesterday. Seems to be fine. The only Eagle who did not practice was linebacker Oren Burks, unclear why. Philly did make a signing today, waiving Gottlieb Idens and signing wide receiver Griffin Herbert, spotted here, rocking the very legendary wide receiver number 48. Griffin is fighting for his practice squad life. He was with Philadelphia for a brief moment towards the end of last year at that same spot. Not a big signing, but they made a roster move, so I had to cover it. First out to speak to the media today was defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, and can I be honest here, Fangio is probably the most honest breath of fresh air when it comes to coaches talking to the media Philadelphia's had in a very long time. Listen to this guy talk. It's like no nonsense. He's honest, straight to the point. I love it. In terms of what he said today, the spark notes are he's been impressed with Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis from one non-padded practice yesterday. Again, only one practice so far, but still, he needs a little bit more time to see just how good of shape Davis showed up to camp in, but overall, good things from the interior defensive line. Next, he confirmed he won't shy away from playing rookies if they're ready, and mentioned Quinyon Mitchell by name as someone who's been at least impressive so far with his ability to play on the outside, but also mix in at the slot, something he did very little of in college. So far, so good for Q. Although no word on if Fangio thought Quinyon Mitchell's singing last night during rookie hazing in front of the whole team was any good or not. Yikes.
You better get into it. No instrumental.
Although, credit to Q and DeJean for doing a nice job of their Rita's rice water delivery for vets after practice yesterday. Again, another rookie tradition. And hey, look, there's Cooper DeJean, hamstring and all. Now, I think the big takeaway from Fangio's press conference were first his thoughts on Bryce Huff. And really, he was asked, can Bryce Huff be an every down defensive end in 2024? Something he really hasn't done throughout his entire career. And let's just say Fangio's answer wasn't the promising endorsement I wanted to hear.
Well, I think everybody thought he could. And knowing that the floor was just rush downs, but he's taken the challenge on very well, and I do think he has the talent to do what we want him to do. It's just he's got to get familiar with doing it, and so it will be a work in progress. Does he look like he could do it today? No, but I do think eventually he will.
What does he need to do to become that guy?
Constantly show improvement. And a feel, it's more of a feel. He has the talent to do it, but he's never been asked to do it, I don't think in college and nor with the Jets. So it's new, and he's got to become more proficient at it.
Now, granted, again, Fangio isn't lying. Huff has never been asked to be an every down defensive end. But when you're asked if he can do that, and then your defensive coordinator says, not yet, at least he hasn't gotten there yet, and we go, didn't you pay the guy $17 million a year? It's, again, not the greatest of looks. The problem is it's only day 2 of camp. We have never seen Bryce Huff with pads on, and maybe he instantly turns out to be the every down defensive end that Haason Reddick essentially had been in Philadelphia the past couple of years. Not saying Bryce Huff's going to be a bust, not saying he was a bad signing, but it is a lot of money for somebody who's not ready yet, according to his DC, to play a vast majority of defensive snaps. Next, Fangio addressed the big elephant in the room. That's, of course, James Bradberry and why he's still on the roster. And Fangio, again, in his no-nonsense way, basically said he's got a long way to go to actually being a successful cornerback to safety conversion.
You say that you've seen that a lot over the years. The truth is, no, you haven't. The list of guys successfully transitioning from corner to safety is very small with success. There's guys that have done it, but it really wasn't what you want. And we'll see if he can do that. James has got a good feel for football, very knowledgeable, so that will help him in that transition. He's still going to play some corner for us, too.
Again, not sure much longer Bradberry stays on the roster, but he was out there again today. More on where he was playing in a second. Still, though, you had two big cornerback injuries elsewhere in the NFL yesterday, including the Vikings' Mekhi Blackmon and the Rams' Darian Kendricks. So surely Howie's at least picking up the phone to call these two teams to make sure they don't need any cornerback help just yet. I personally hate hearing about camp injuries, whether they're with the Eagles or anywhere else. So far, Philadelphia's been okay. Knock on wood, say a prayer. Why don't you give a thumbs up down below to wish the Eagles a healthy training camp? We had 1,300 likes in yesterday's video. Can we get to 1,500 today? Drop a thumbs up. Finally, the linebacker question was on everybody's mind and obviously was asked to Vic Fangio, and he mentioned everybody by name, but just take a listen to who Vic mentions first when asked about the very, very, very competitive position group that is linebacker.
But I like Zach. You know, he's a guy that's played very little inside linebacker in his career. We think he can do it. Obviously, Devin's had a career where he has done it. Nakobe, you know, has shown that he can do it in college. Really hadn't had the opportunity to do it here because his first year he was behind two good players, and last year he was injured. Same thing with Trotter, Ben, Orn. You know, they're all in the mix, really.
Oh, and speaking of linebackers and Vic Fangio, Devin White was pretty quick to point out today during his press conference that if you aren't doing your job, Fangio's going to rip into you very, very quickly.
Oh, he called you out by your name. He name, number, whatever the first thing come to his mind when we watching the film. You know, we watch film together after practice in the evening, and he'll let you know, like, you know, yesterday it was me on the downhill run. Jalen Carter got one on a block where he didn't do the right thing, but he also praises people too when they doing the technique the right way. You know, he just not just a drag you through the mud type of coach. You know, he pull you up when you're doing something good because the next person can learn from the good that another person doing. JD had a good practice yesterday. He was bending his legs, and that was one thing Coach Vic, he kept saying, like, when your legs are bent and you in this type of stance, you're gonna have a good down. And he was showing that throughout the film. So it's not just all about bad, but he will correct you in front of everybody.
Now, in terms of on-the-field highlights, the offense, once again, was on fire today as Jalen Hurts only had 2 incompletions, which really were just drops, including a go ball to A.J. Brown over Darius Slay and 7-on-7s, which Brown drew not only pass interference, but still made the catch for a 50-yard completion. Hurts has been sharp and clearly better than what he was in OTAs the first 2 days of training camp, but a big change reporters continue to point out is his improved speed and movement, which was probably due to the fact he was just injured last year, but either way, look out for QB1, he's been locked in so far. Oh, and sticking with the offense, Philly mixed up the wide receiver 3 starter today. John Ross subbed in for Paris Campbell and got some wide receiver 3 reps and 7-on-7s. Motion was also heavily involved yet again. Good example here is Brandon Lee Gowton pointing out Saquon lined up wide, then he motions left when the ball is snapped. Hurts takes off running to the area Saquon vacated, and the Eagles get a big game. Basically, anytime you hear me talk about motion, you should probably get excited, like it's what we've been waiting for, and clearly the offensive skill players are loving it. I mean, listen to Dallas Goedert after practice detail how great Kellen Moore has been.
Yeah, I think the offense is really clicking right now. You know, we spent a lot of time learning it, dissecting it, figuring it out during OTAs earlier, and then coming back, just the way we've been moving, the way things been installing, just rolling in practice. I feel like, you know, everybody took that step, you know, just kind of absorbed it in OTAs, and right now it seems like we're firing on all cylinders.
Now, we've raved about the offense the first couple of days. They've been really good. Doesn't mean the defense has been bad. In fact, today, there were some pretty interesting defensive highlights, starting with the defensive line, reportedly getting a lot of pressure throughout the day on Jalen Hurts. Now, again, no pad, so take it with a grain of salt, but even the aforementioned Bryce Huff got a simulated sack on Jalen Hurts during 11-on-11s. And whether planned or not, Huff was then the first player to speak to the media after practice today, maybe to try and dispel the notion that he's not ready to be an every down defensive end. Either way, Huff met the media. Here's what he said.
Not necessarily. I don't really know where that reputation came from. If you watch my film, I've been physical in the run stop in the NFL. I mean, I was starting year 2. I played a lot of run. I got good film. Year 3, whenever I was in the field, I got good film. And the last year, I put up good film in the run as well. So I'm not really sure where that reputation came from. I guess it's just because of my size that people will kind of assume that. But if you watch the film, I feel like I've done well in the run.
Now, again, I'm not trying to hate on Bryce Huff. Quite the opposite. I'm more just intrigued. And Fangio's words earlier in the show, you got to admit, are at least interesting that he's not ready yet. Still, though, at least he's at camp, unlike his predecessor, Haason Reddick, who's now getting fined $50,000 a day to miss every single day of Jets camp. Plus, I got to be honest, if Jordan Mailata thinks you're going to be good, that's probably good enough for me.
Bryce has got a lot of potential to be one of the greats. He's got a great get-off, and he's got an arsenal of tools that he can use at any given time, and that you have to be able to recognize what he's going to get to and make sure you don't shoot your hands too early because he will swipe.
Some other notable plays from the defense included a Kenny Pickett interception, no clue who caught it, but it was a ball tipped by Jalen Hunt, and the mass rotation at cornerback, it continued today as Keely Ringo started opposite of Darius Slay instead of Isaiah Rodgers. Which again, I have to tell you because you want to know who's starting and who's playing where, but if I'm being honest, the Eagles rotated cornerbacks all over the place today. It was Rodgers, it was Ringo, it was Slay sometimes, Eli Ricks got a second team run, Quinyon Mitchell was at nickel for a time. They're giving everybody an equal opportunity really all over the defense, but especially at the cornerback spots, so take everything with a big grain of salt. Now, one very interesting note from practice today was the fact that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. got first-team reps at linebacker. Again, everybody's getting opportunities. Still, though, it's a little bit surprising that the rookie is already getting some first-team looks. Now, one little problem today for Trotter is that he went down twice with what seemed to be leg cramps. We're still kind of waiting on confirmation here. Towards the end, he had to have a trainer come out and look at him, eventually got up and walked to the cart and was carted off the field, although all reports are basically saying it's not serious. It's probably just cramps. Stay subbed in case something, were to happen. We'll have the breaking news here. He should be fine, but still, first-team reps, that's pretty interesting. Honestly, overall, day 2 is exactly what the Birds have probably been hoping for all offseason long. Strong play from key starters with the offense seemingly figuring out their new system a little bit quicker than the defense, but still, good pass rush, good play by the linebackers and secondary today, and overall, as Devin White explained, iron sharpening iron is the real focus the first week.
I don't want to lean on the past. I just want to be a better football team this year and contribute whatever way I can. And, that's what a lot of, talking me, Jalen, and AJ, we got a group message, and I named it accountability. Just how can we pull one another up and what do you need from me, and obviously vice versa with them, just so this can be a better team and those things don't happen. Because at the end of the day, it's a long season, but, the one thing we've been talking about is one day at a time. How can we be better and just make sure we pushing everybody and bringing somebody along, not just, getting on to them, but just bring somebody with you. If you're a great player, show them how to be a great player, and we have more great players on the team.
Now, in case you're wondering, where's the actual footage of all the plays we talk about here during every single practice show? Philadelphia is one of the few football teams that doesn't allow the media or even fans to film during practice. If you're there, you can watch and film the warm-ups. I see a lot of stuff you see on your screen right now, for instance. Here, warming up, running drills, but actual 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, they can't film. Now, that's different from the Chiefs. Most other football teams allow you to do this. The Jets have that. I was watching today, the Bears have been having that. I believe it was the Bucks as well. Almost every other football team allows it. Philadelphia doesn't, is because they want a competitive advantage. I'm not sure. I don't know how big of a competitive advantage you get from not allowing practice, but either way, in case you're wondering, we try and get as many clips as we can, the best clips we can, but at the same time, we can't give you every single clip, and that's just the Philadelphia Eagle way. 2 days into practice, things are looking pretty good. Again, from a distance and with no pads. I think they're going to have pads on today. There were reports saying they were. They ended up not, so we'll see when those actually go on. Maybe Saturday or maybe Monday will be the padded practice day. Either way, hit that sub button, approaching 56,000 subs. Working on a giveaway happening hopefully soon. More details on that in a future video. I'm Thomas Mott, breaking it all down. This has been the Thomas Mott Show.